come once again to discuss things.
Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Geeky Gentlemen Fan Film Reviews. I'm Rasco. Joining me today is...
Sid Part 2.
That's his name. Don't get it twisted.
Indeed.
Let's see how pretty your face is after my fist has kissed it. I don't know the rest.
Sit here
This
quietly
is where
until
Ian
you...
comes in and tells
Yeah,
us
I'm gonna sit here quietly
stuff.
until you get through the whole thing.
No, I can't.
You gotta. It's all on you.
Okay, so, episodes are, available for download in the link in the description or something like that, right?
Yeah, so far so good.
And if there's an episode you'd like to have there, leave a comment and it will be put up there so you can download it.
Close enough. They'll figure it out. Alright. Go on. Continue now.
This week we're talking about a fan film called Miles Morales' Final Day.
Indeed we are. Good job, Rasco. You struggled through that with the grace of a middle schooler with stage fright.
Yeah!
Just great job, bud. Yeah, so we're talking about Miles Morales, The Final Day, which is not at all like middle schooler with stage fright. I guess the question I always ask is, what made you want to watch this?
I remember I was just looking through fan films and I saw this was like a newer fan film.
Mm-hmm.
And we had seen, we've done, how many Spider-Man have we only done one Spider-Man fan film?
Yeah, only the one.
So, I think we complained about the costume in that one.
Uh-huh, a little bit.
Yeah, and I just like saw the thumbnail and the masks looked pretty good in the thumbnail, so I was like, oh, I'll pick this one.
Yeah, I can dig that. Production design is not something I feel we talk about enough with fan films, so this is certainly a place to get into that. I guess what I find so interesting about fan films is it is such a monumental effort with next to none of the resources of the professional version.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a reason we won't talk about fan fiction on this show. Or generally fan art. And by that I mean drawings or whatever. And the reasoning being is you have literally 90%, if not 100%, of all the tools of people working professionally in industry at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So we cannot at all be kind to you if all you've done is written fan fiction or drawn fan art, because you have all the same capability as the people actually doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas with a fan film, there's so many limitations, production design, costuming being one of them. There are great cosplayers that are like neck and neck with professional studio Hollywood people, but they're rarely involved with fan films. And so it's just this whole thing. Usually the people doing costuming on a fan film have maybe done a cosplay, but they're not like professional cosplayers or whatever.
Indeed.
So, that all being said, I quite liked the Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales' costumes in this. I thought they looked pretty good. You know, something just that came as a result of shooting it is, like, I'm sure you noticed Miles is, like, around his neck something had gotten flipped inside out or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that was a little distracting, but it kind of works in the context of the scene. I don't know. What'd you think?
Yeah. You know, it's one of those things where, realistically, like, I look at these suits, and, like, they look pretty good, They don't look how they would look if this were obviously like a movie, like a big production movie, you know. But what works about it is that, like, it's okay to have that because, you know, not every Spider-Man needs to look like the movie Spider-Man. You can have a Spider-Man that looks a little bit more achievable by, like, a real standard.
Yeah, that's something we often, like, joke about is neither Spider-Man franchise has described how the hell Peter Parker is able to make that goddamn costume. And until Civil War, we've never gotten, like, a truly realistic Spider-Man costume on film. You get a little bit of it in Amazing Spider-Man, I guess, but I really like the one in Civil War where it's just complete garbage. But yeah, this looks like, you know, if Miles Morales took a lot of time to sit down, he could make it. Now, there is a caveat to that. I don't know a damn thing about Miles Morales.
I don't either.
I like Spider-Man, but just in a general kind of way. Like, you know, Venom is cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know a damn thing about Miles Morales as a character. I know very, very basically that, like, his uncle is somehow involved in his origin. I remember seeing a thing about his origin forever ago. I don't know if his suit's supposed to be more techy than Peter Parker's is.
I assume it is.
So, it kind of creates this interesting juxtaposition where this looks like something that's much more achievable for, you know, a kid to make on his own. I question that with if it's supposed to be more techy, because then it should look even more polished, right?
Yeah, you're right about that. That's just awkward, and there's no way around it either way. That being said, like, I have to give this props. I've seen quite a few Spider-Man fan films, and this is one of the better looking, both of their costumes are two of the better looking costumes I've seen, period.
Yeah, I mean, they look really good. The logic of it kind of breaks down, because you want to be a little more generous, because, like, okay, well, it's obviously there are the real life restrictions, but there's in-fiction restriction, too. But again, I need to know more. Like, this isn't even a complaint. This is more me approaching it as a complete noob to Miles Morales Spider-Man. I don't know enough about him to really judge how much that costume makes sense in story.
Mm-hmm.
If that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Gwen's costume looks frickin' incredible. I'm not reading that book either, but God, that's a cool costume design.
Yeah, her costume does look really good, and also that actress is very Gwen Stacy-esque.
Yeah, she's got the look. It's the bangs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the bangs. Yeah, that was really cool. It's so weird, just Spider-Man with a hoodie. There's something about it that's just magical,
It
right?
works. It works.
Because we got, like, Scarlet Spider, that's the thumbnail for the Marvel Knights Spider-Man fan film. Just something, Spider-Gwen, just something about Spider-Man with a hoodie. I don't know. It's like a magic bullet formula, guys.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's the costume design I thought was pretty good as far as the spiders go. I'm not a fan of the wig for the villain.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to point out. The wig is very wiggish.
Like, you can just tell the actor's having a really hard time with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's obviously a lot of choreography, and you can just tell he's not used to having long hair because he keeps brushing the thing out of his face, and you just can't. He just can't deal with it.
Yeah, also, like, when you have long hair like that, you tuck it behind your ears.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that, like, because I literally had long hair like that a few months ago, and, you know, you tuck it behind your ears, and I think it's one of those things where, like, when you grow your hair out, you learn how you operate when you have longer hair, because you're, like, you're with it for months, right? Every day you wake up and you have long hair. When you put on a wig, it's, like, very apparent that, like, someone doesn't normally have long hair, because, like, normally what you do is you take it and you just put it behind your ears, and your ears hold your hair back, but...
Yeah, and he keeps moving it out of his face. I remember when I was in acting class in high school, a girl went up and did like a monologue thing, and she had naturally long hair, but she was like playing with it and flipping it and stuff during the monologue, and she wasn't aware that she was doing it. It's just like one of those natural tick things. I mean, as you were talking, I was playing with my hair, just one of those natural things you do.
Yeah.
And the teacher talked to her about it. She's like, I understand that you're doing it and you're not aware that you're doing it, but it's something that your character might not be doing, and it's you coming through, not the character, so you need to be aware of that as you do your thing. And so this is both, the actor messing with the wig is both a bit of an acting mistake, but also a bit of a directing mistake, because they shouldn't have used those takes.
Yeah, also, I'll say this. Does he really even have to have long hair? Like, I know he has long hair, but, like, does he need to have long hair?
I don't know anything about the character, so I honestly can't tell you. I've no, like, who even is this guy?
Moreland.
Yeah, I don't know that guy. I'm sorry. I'm just not enough of a Spider-Man fan for this, I guess.
I'm very casually aware of who he is, and I think that if you really wanted to, you could just do him without long hair, and it would be fine.
Yeah, or just something, but just generally, that's a problem with direction. You shouldn't use takes like that. It's way too distracting. I wonder, is this guy drawn with his hair in his face a lot? Is that like a thing for him?
Maybe.
How do you spell his character's name?
Morlun.
Morlun. I mean, he definitely does have long hair. That is a consistent part of the character. He's not wearing a tuxedo in the fan film. I think he can get away with... it's kind of bad. All these panels of him, like, a little bit of wisp is in front of his face every so often, but he's drawn as having it peeled back away from his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the things where when you have a wig, you can't really do that unless you have like, a really nice wig.
Used to it. Yep. You're just not used to it. So again, that's just a problem with direction, and also actor. The actor should have been a little more aware of that, but I put it less on the actor because, as we often talk about with acting in fan films, you get who you can get, who can actually do it. And that's honestly the best you should expect. Everything above being present is a plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I blame that less on the actor and more on the director. They shot this well. They should have done retakes. Because it's not like they're in, at least from what I could see, an exotic location. It looks like they went to some, just random person's house or something. It looks like they're in some basement.
It might be like a church.
I mean, that's possible, but if they could get there, it seems like... It does not seem like they would have had a hard time getting back, is my thing. Or staying longer, coming a second time to get more shots.
Mm-hmm. Or, and it could just be a thing where it's like, maybe it could have been like, maybe the wig could have just, like, they could have, like, thought about, like, oh, well, maybe we can, like, pin it back a certain way to where it just kind of, like, naturally doesn't go into his face. Maybe we can do something to make it a little bit more stable on his head. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, we sound like we're talking only about this wig, but it's kind of symptomatic of a larger problem, right? Mm-hmm. It's one of those things, like, you can tell this was shot pretty much all at once. I think my biggest complaint with this fan film, and I don't want to complain too much longer, but I think the biggest problem with this is I can tell it was not very well thought out. What I mean by that is, when we get into the story, I'll talk about this, but they kind of spoil things, so we're finding out stuff from Miles in narration, and then Miles isn't finding it out till the events of the story. You know what I mean?
Okay, can you explain? Can you elaborate? Can you just get into it more?
Well, in the opening narration, he's like, blah, 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 being Spider-Man's got good days and bad days. Some days, Psycho from another universe wants to come and kill you.
Mm.
And then when Gwen Stacy shows up, it's like, how's she going to show up from another universe without a plan? Bruh. I love that moment, though.
I love that moment as well.
Yeah. How's she going to show up from another universe without a plan? And then Miles doesn't know that either of these people are from another universe until basically the end.
Okay, yeah, you're totally right about that.
And that's poor seeding. Like, I don't know how you have it both ways, though. Like, if that were in a comic, that would be... Like, if that moment were in a comic, it would be in narration bubbles.
Yeah.
But doing it that way, you would have spoiled the big twist at the end of the comic.
You're right. You're 100% right about that. I'm just going to go ahead and throw out my big positive. This fan film does a lot of things that, like, people have always thrown out there as, like, possibilities that you could do in a Spider-Man movie that would make it feel very Spider-Man-y, and having the, like, internal monologue, like how you going to show up from another universe without a plan? Bruh. Like, that.
Yeah.
That's exactly... That is, like, realizing that perfectly in a fan film.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I really liked about this, is that, like, it kind of, like, tested out that, which is something that I've seen so many people throw out as, like, a cool thing to do in a Spider-Man movie, and we got to, like, see that in a fan film.
Mm-hmm. I
thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I like the narration. That moment, that's the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's such a great little bit of comedy, and this is, like, I think the second time. No, I watched this 3 times now. So I don't know how much of this I would have realized if I hadn't watched it over and over. But again, I just think that, like, it's got some really cool ideas, like using, a fight with a villain that I'm assuming is from, like, mainline Marvel continuity and obviously not an Ultimate Miles Morales continuity. Using that to do this whole universe crossing thing, that's a good idea. Having Spider-Gwen show up, that's a fun idea. Being actually capable of doing all that, good job. Like, as far as visualizing all that, looks pretty good. Those are all great ideas. I just think that, like, the story and little elements about, like, how to shoot it weren't thought out very well.
That is very fair. That being said, for a very... See, like, this is probably one of those things where they had to, like, get in and get out. Like, who knows what the behind-the-scenes was like.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do think that it's pretty competently made, just from a very technical perspective, besides, like, the wig, besides anything else complaints with the story. Like, it's a pretty well put-together, comprehensive little short, I think.
Yeah, it's shot pretty well. They used a green screen effect, which I've talked about, but it's used in a fairly believable way where it's not overly, it's either a green screen effect or like a stock animation of when he kicks Miles through the ceiling, or through the roof. I just liked, it opens really strongly with a Spider-Man fight happening on a rooftop.
Yeah.
That was good. But, like, they use that stock effect, but it works, so he just gets kicked into what could be any building. So, like, this is one of those things where, yes, this totally would be okay if it was shot in someone's living room. It could be literally anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that about it. It's a very believable situation. I will say, like, I feel like I've been so negative on this, and I don't mean to be, but, you notice the spot where, like, Miles wakes up on the roof toward the end? I think their camera has, like, some dead pixels.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, that little tiny white spot.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think their camera has some dead pixels. I only noticed because I was like, oh shit, no, my TV! My beautiful, beautiful TV!
You're just
goes away like a shot or two later. I'm like, oh good. Oh good. So, sorry guys. I think your camera's got some dead pixels. You should probably do something about that. Not sure what.
Maybe something happened in the middle of production. Maybe the camera fell off the roof.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like this is intended to be a series. I don't know. I guess that's the burning question. did it do enough right for you that you want to check out more from it?
I would watch more.
If they make a sequel.
I would watch more. I've watched more of much worse.
What, you watched some more of Throwback Studios X-Men?
Is that the one with 4 titles? Because I have watched quite a bit of that series.
You have? That's
funny. I've watched quite a bit.
Oh. Is it better or worse than the episode we watched?
It might be worse, but you know what's great about that? They got some committed people to work on that. That's the thing.
Yeah? Okay. So yeah, back to this though. I don't know if I'm going to watch any more of this. I'm certainly tempted to subscribe. I think it's an interesting idea. But I feel like the reason I'm not is just because this looks like it's going to be following Miles Morales, and he's just not my Spider-Man. Like, I have no problem with people liking Miles Morales or whatever. I just I'm a Peter Parker guy. And so the premise of following him doesn't really grab me.
Fair.
But, like, as much as I've complained about this and pointed out problems, those are all relatively minor. All things told, I think I'm only going to take off maybe 1.5 points for all the problems I've talked about. Mm-hmm. If that. I don't know. I still had a lot of fun watching this. It was a nice, cool little short. I was disappointed by the lack of web. There was not enough web. You only get like a brief, quick shot of it, and it like pans up.
That's your box cover blitz. Not enough web.
Not enough web. That's what I should start doing, releasing little quotes for these fan film reviews.
Not enough web. I really like that.
Oh my. I don't know. You take us somewhere. We've got to fill just a couple more minutes.
I think that it's not like breathtaking fight choreography, but I thought that like some of like the fight scenes were pretty good, and I think like the editing and then like the sound helped too. Mm-hmm. Like there's that part where like Gwen Stacy does like a cool like double kick thing. She like kicks and then brings her leg back and kicks again in the same stride kind of, and like she gets her leg grabbed and then he like elbows her leg. And like the sound was like not like great sound effects, but they were like placed properly, and like it like knew when to cut to a different angle to like, because like that's a big thing, like when you're doing like fake fighting in a fan film, you can't like go 100% because like you don't have the time to really like choreograph a fight like you do for like episode 1, where if you watch the special features, like if someone fucks up during one of those like lightsaber fights, they're gonna get hit in the fucking face. Like if they don't make the next move to like block, then they're fucked. But like you can't do that at a fan film because you probably wouldn't have that much time to like choreograph a fight like that. So I think how you get around that is you have to know like when to cut to a different angle so it doesn't look like someone was pulling their punch.
Yeah.
And I think this does that pretty well.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the choreography is all right. It's shot a little too shaky cam for my taste. But that's not inherently bad. That's just that's a good tool to use in something like this. I can't help but be reminded of a joke from a Deadpool fan film that I saw years ago. And I feel bad that I can't even remember who did it or the name of it, but like Deadpool's gonna like fight a guy with super strength, and he goes, "Oh, good, super strength, nice cheap effect to pull off on a fan film budget." And so that's just like what I think of every time I see super strong people fighting each other in fan films like this. I'm like, okay. How are you going to demonstrate that it's super strength? This actually did do a fairly good job of demonstrating super strength by having Miles get kicked through the damn floor. I would have preferred maybe one other example from either of the spiders to show super strength and the scale we're dealing with. Because as is, it doesn't look like they're pulling their punches, but at the same time, when you have no movement from one of the actors because he's supposed to be that strong, it kind of looks like they're just hitting him really weakly. If you don't have something to help scale it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, like, maybe if he'd slid back, or, like, I don't know, maybe if, like, you did a shot of Miles swinging at the guy, and the dude ducks, and Miles hits a wall, and then you show, like, a crack in the wall because of that, that'd be a good way to show scale.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But overall, it worked fairly well. I wasn't annoyed or anything by the fight choreography. It's definitely not laughable, which is about the worst thing a fight can be. What else?
I'll throw out the actor playing Miles. I thought he was pretty decent in his unmasked moment. I've seen much, like, it was far from cringy.
Definitely.
Right? Cringy is like, oh, that's the thing you don't want is cringy. It's not even kind of cringy. I'm not saying that it's like an amazing performance. I'm saying it's very, very much like I'm taking this seriously. I in no way am like taken out by his acting in any way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought he did a pretty good job. I thought Gwen did a pretty good job. I even think the actor playing the villain, he's all right. It's just he's not used to something. I think at best he's like passable. But I don't think he's so bad that it takes you out of it any more than, you know, any kind of oddity of acting in any fan film would.
Yeah, I'll say no one really feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. When people feel uncomfortable, that's always just very easy to pick up on. And nobody feels uncomfortable in this.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Speaking of long hair, I've got long hair in my face and it's fallen in my mouth. That's annoying.
Yum!
Yum hair. The best feeling ever, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay, I guess let's go ahead and go on to ratings. You go ahead and go first.
I'm gonna give this 3.5 wonky wigs out of 5.
I'm going to also give it 3.5 bruhs out of 5. Not bros, brus. There's a distinct difference between a bro and a bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh. I just love it. It's so... It feels so natural. He did a really good job delivering those voiceover lines. I got it.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Okay. So we're going to do something that we've never done on Geeky Gentlemen before, because I'm in a bit of a video game mood, and I kind of want to talk about this, even though we've already done an episode about it. So, years ago, during the early days of Geeky Gentlemen, we reviewed There Will Be Brawl, which is a really interesting fan series that tells one continuous story that came out shortly after Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Ooh.
So it's like this really gritty crime drama, but with the Smash Bros. Characters.
Oh, I love that. That is very cool.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about that. We did a review of it forever ago. I'll be the only part of it that's the same. I'm pretty sure my opinion is going to have changed in the years that have elapsed since. And I'm curious to see what Rasco has to say about this.
Okay, it sounds pretty interesting. I'm a fan of taking something that's kind of goofy, making it some serious stuff, injecting it with some essence. I might like this.
Yeah, I think it's pretty legit. You want me to share with you my favorite line in the thing before we go?
Okay, go ahead.
It all used to be so simple. Stomp on the bad guys. Get to the power-ups. Saved a princess. When did it all get so fucking complicated?
That's actually awesome, dude. That's great.
Okay, cool. So, we'll be talking about that next time. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm the Beta Male Cuck.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.